Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India News Hour, India's voice to the world. I'm Siddharth Bharadwaj. Coming up in the next hour. In a tragic incident, over 40 Indians killed in building fire in Kuwait. India's Prime Minister Modi holds a review meeting, directs officials to extend all possible assistance. Gaza ceasefire plan in balance as US says Hamas proposed changes. UK Prime Minister Rishi Sunak and Labour opposition leader Keir Starmer spar in TV debate, clash over tax. Meanwhile, Labour Party's manifesto to be unveiled today. US and Ukraine expected to sign long-term security agreement at G7. Allies rush to agree deal on Russian assets. US Federal Reserve keeps key lending rate unchanged. One cut possible in 2024, down from 3 expected in March. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi chaired a review meeting on the fire tragedy in Kuwait, in which around 40 Indian nationals killed and over 50 were injured. The Prime Minister expressed his deep sorrow at the unfortunate incident and extended condolences to the families of deceased. He wished speedy recovery of those injured. He also announced ex gratia relief of Rs 2 lakh to the families of the deceased. Prime Minister directed that Government of India should extend all possible assistance. India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar spoke to his Kuwaiti counterpart Abdullah Ali Al-Yaya. Sharing a post on X, Minister Jaishankar said, and I quote, spoke to Kuwaiti FM Abdullah Ali Al-Yaya on the fire tragedy in Kuwait, apprised of the efforts made by Kuwaiti authorities in that regard, was assured that the incident would be fully investigated and that responsibility will be fixed, urged the early repatriation of the mortal remains of those who lost their lives. He emphasized that those injured were getting the requisite medical attention. Minister of State for External Affairs Kirti Vardhan Singh is urgently travelling to Kuwait following a direction from Prime Minister Narendra Modi, primarily to oversee assistance to Indians injured in the fire.
The situation is that the victims are mostly burn victims, and some of the bodies have been charred beyond recognition. So a DNA test is underway to identify the victims, and the Air Force plane is on the ready, and as soon as the bodies are identified, their kin will be informed, and our Air Force plane will bring the bodies back. The latest figures that we had last night, the casualty figures are around 48, 49, out of which 42 or 43 are believed to be our countrymen Indians.
Emir of Kuwait, Sheikh Misal Al Ahmad Al Jaber Al Sabah on Wednesday ordered authorities to probe the massive fire incident, vowed to hold accountable those responsible for the tragedy that killed several people. The Emir directed officials to follow up the causes of the fire outbreak and hold whomever was responsible accountable. Meghna Dev joins us to give more details on this. Meghna, a very good morning to you. MOS MEA Kirti Vardhan Singh has left for Kuwait. PM Modi also chaired a review meeting, Meghna, and directed that Government of India should extend all possible assistance. What is the actual cause of fire? As some reports say, it's because of a cooking gas cylinder blast. Is it true?
Well, different reports are stating different things. Looking at some of the reports, if we see that the fire originated from the first floor where the kitchen was situated. They are saying that it may have happened because of a short circuit, but may have also aggravated because of the presence of gas cylinders. Now, in the visuals that we have been seeing of the incident site, there are a number of gas cylinders that are kept there, which actually paint a picture about how the fire might have aggravated and ended up killing so many people. Very importantly, the janitor of the labor camp, this building where these workers were living, has been taken for questioning. The action will also be taken against the owner of the labor camp. Very importantly, we definitely, as you said and explained to our viewers, that the Emir of Kuwait is also has also said that the perpetrators would be punished. The people who who are responsible for this mishap will be punished. And very importantly, the External Affairs Minister, Dr. S. Jaishankar, has also spoken to his Kuwaiti counterpart. It is very important in this situation. Now, what we see, Siddharth, as you ask me, that the Minister of State for External Affairs is on his way to Kuwait. He left very early this morning. Last night, he was in a meeting which Prime Minister Narendra Modi chaired on this fire incident. He attended that meeting. And after that meeting, very early today morning, he has left for Kuwait. He will be there in some time from now, and we will be bringing you those details also. But going to Kuwait, he has 3 tasks at hand. First task being that what more assistance can be given to the people who are undergoing treatment there, and obviously looking over the situation there about the people who are injured. Second, obviously, the very important task of repatriation of the mortal remains, because it's a situation of a fire tragedy. Bodies must be charred, and identification becomes a big task. Forensic team must be on their toes. So all that coordination that is required for identification to repatriation, that is something that the MOS will have to look, oversee all the details of that as well. While the embassy is also on its toes, and from yesterday we have been seeing the ambassador of India to Kuwait, Ambassador Adarsh, has been not only to the incident site but also to the hospitals, different government hospitals where these people are admitted. The third task at hand is to ensure that such overcrowding does not take place, and the people who are responsible for this are, that action is taken against them. So these are the important 3 aspects of his visit, which he will have to oversee, and the entire coordination with Kuwaiti officials will have to take place. So very importantly, now what we are seeing and what we are getting to know through media reports, emerging from Kuwait, is that this is one of the worst building fires that Kuwait has ever seen, killing so many people. And now a crackdown is being done on such labor camps and residential places where there is overcrowding and violation of rules, and people are being kept more than the number permissible.
Indeed, Meghna, we have also heard through media reports and our correspondents that the owner of the building has also been detained by the police. Also, sources say that India will send an Air Force plane to bring back mortal remains of Indians who died in the fire tragedy. Can you give us some update on this?
Siddharth, this is generally, one of the options that the Indian government chooses when there is a tragedy like this, because whenever there is an evacuation mission or repatriation of these many mortal remains and incidents like these, the Air Force is pressed into action, and the facilities of the Air Force are utilized so that these mortal remains can come back. So definitely this is one aspect that that will be put into action once the procedure of repatriation of mortal remains take place. But having said that, as you told, that the owner of the building will has been apprehended. Now we will also get to know what the question through media reports. We also get to know that there is questioning, interrogation, and all that he will have to go through. And what we also understand that most of the people who have been killed in this fire tragedy hail from South India. So obviously their relatives and the people associated with them must be very worried about their whereabouts, if they are safe and sound or not. So a helpline number has also been issued. A WhatsApp number has also been issued by the embassy so that people can stay in touch, can also get updates. The embassy is answering all calls and messages. So that is also something that the embassy is trying to support the people of the bereaved families with.
All right, thank you so much, Meghna, for all those details. Thank you so much for joining in. We also have DD India correspondent Ajay Joy joining us from Thiruvananthapuram. Ajay, we all know how tragic this incident is, where many Keralites have lost their lives. Did you have a word with anyone's family members?
So far, I couldn't speak personally, but some of our correspondents could reach out to the families. Many of them were informally informed that their relatives have expired in this incident. So far, 14 such families could be identified in Kerala, but the numbers will go up because some of the bodies are yet to be identified. And considering the fact that the company normally has a majority of their workers from Kerala, the number is definitely going to go up. And this is one of the saddest moments in Malayali diaspora history as well. This may be one of the coincidence that the Global Malayali Diaspora Summit is happening today in Trivandrum for the next 2 days. So on this particular day itself, the utmost tragedy has struck. This is a situation here. And what I understand is by 11 local time, embassy will be issuing an official statement regarding the identity of those who deceased and the measures to be taken thereafter. Anyhow, in Kerala State Cabinet is taking a very special urgent meeting right now. What we understood is that they will be coming out with certain measures how to bring back the mortal remains, and they will be coordinating with the External Affairs Ministry for the same purpose. And NORCA, there is an apex body for the diaspora affairs in Kerala. The NORCA has opened a special helpline which is active 24/7 right now to address this particular tragedy.
Okay. Considering the very fact that a very large part of the Indian diaspora stays there, how's the mood there? Because, you know, majority of the people who lost their lives were from southern part of India. So
Yes,
as you had a
absolutely.
word, what is the atmosphere there, and you know, what else are you getting for us?
Absolutely, because this is quite tragic, and the families who are uncertain, they are more worried actually, because as I said earlier, the company, most of the workers are from Kerala, and this particular apartment was housing more than 200 workers, and majority of them are from Kerala. So other than the 14 families which I mentioned, other families are equally worried about what happened to their relatives. So confirmation is yet to come. What we understood is that the incident took place at around 4 a.m. local time. Most of them were asleep. Only those people who were on night shift could escape without any issues. But although the fire department came quickly, but by that time the tragedy has struck already. And what we understand from the sources in Kuwait is that the fire authorities have given a strict warning right now to check to make an audit of this safety norms of all the labor camps across Kuwait. And this is how the situation is quite tragic.
All right, thank you so much. We'll keep taking updates from you on this. And still to come on DD India News Hour. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will depart for Italy on Thursday to attend the 50th G7 summit. Security tightened in Jammu and Kashmir after terror attack. IMD issues alert for heat waves in northern states, and Assam flood situation improved. You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Siddharth Bharadwaj. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will depart for Italy on Thursday to attend the 50th G7 summit scheduled for June 13 and 14. He will also hold bilateral meeting with Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni during his trip. The Group of Seven, or the G7, is a grouping of world's 7 most developed economies, that is Italy, Germany, Canada, France, the United Kingdom, Japan and the US. Our correspondent Amritpal Singh tells us more from Italy's Apulia.
Mr. Narendra Modi will arrive here in Borgo in Nasia for a day-long trip to Italy. He's visiting Italy at the invitation of the Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni to participate in the 50th G7 summit. This is not the first time that India is participating in this summit. It's participated several times. In fact, this is India's 11th participation and Prime Minister Modi's 5th consecutive attendance at the G7 summit. India is not a member of the G7 but has been invited as a partner country. Prime Minister Modi will address an outreach session with other invited countries.
The visit assumes a significance as this will be Honourable Prime Minister's first overseas travel after assuming office in his 3rd consecutive term. It will also afford him an opportunity to engage with other world leaders present at the G7 summit on issues of importance to India as also to the global south. Prime Minister will participate in the outreach session along with the other countries invited for the outreach summit. At this session, the focus would be on artificial intelligence, energy, Africa and the Mediterranean.
Prime Minister Modi and Prime Minister Meloni are expected to hold a bilateral meeting where they will deliberate on the bilateral aspect of the relationship and chart a future course of collaboration.
There has been a very regular exchange of visits between the two countries in the last 2-3 years. As you know, Prime Minister Meloni herself had visited India twice last year. So the high-level political dialogue in itself is a big boost to the bilateral cooperation. It sends a signal that India and Italy take each other seriously, that they want to engage with each other in all domains.
The Prime Minister will hold bilateral meetings with other world leaders that includes some of the leaders of G7 as well as some leaders of the participating partner countries. Though the G7's agenda is wide-ranging from climate change to development to food security to ongoing conflicts in West Asia and Ukraine-Russia conflict, but it is the Ukraine-Russia conflict that is set to dominate this summit as President Zelensky is here and his meeting with President Biden would be closely watched even as he makes a strong pitch for funding from the West to fund its war chest. With cameraman Shailendra Chauhan, this is Amritpal Singh for DD India in Apulia, Italy.
India's Foreign Secretary Vinay Mohan Kwatra said that during Prime Minister Narendra Modi's visit to Italy, the issue of cross-border terrorism will be raised at highest level in G7 meet.
So far as the issue of terrorism is concerned and the nature of cross-border terrorism that India faces, I'm sure that in terms of the challenges that such instances pose to the general peace and stability in the region, they would suitably figure in Prime Minister's bilateral conversation as and when it is necessary, depending upon the agenda of bilateral discussions.
India on Thursday sent a flight carrying around 19 tons of humanitarian assistance and disaster relief supplies for Papua New Guinea. The aid comprises 13 tons of disaster relief material including temporary shelter, water tanks, hygiene kits, meals ready to eat and 6 tons of emergency use medicine, medical equipment including dengue and malaria diagnostic kits, baby food, etc. In the wake of devastating landslide in Anga province of Papua New Guinea, India had announced immediate assistance of $1 million to close friend and partner under the Forum for India-Pacific Islands Cooperation. The Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir is witnessing a sudden escalation of terror attacks. It all began on 9th of June when a bus plunged into gorge after being attacked by terrorists, followed by an attack on a village in Kathua, and then exchange of fire between terrorists and security forces in Doda district. In a big breakthrough for security coming close on heels of these terror attacks, 2 terrorists have been neutralized on Wednesday. In the last 80 hours, 3 separate attacks have taken place, raising concerns about the law and order situation in the region. Here's a detailed report.
2 terrorists who had opened fire in a Hiranagar village in Jammu and Kashmir's Kathua district late Tuesday night have been neutralized in an encounter. A paramilitary soldier was also martyred in action. 2 encounters that began overnight in Jammu and dragged into the wee hours of morning. This included one in Doda district where 5 soldiers and a special police officer were injured in an attack on an army post. Anand Jain, Additional Director General of Police, Jammu Zone, supervising the anti-terrorist operations in Kathua, shared details of the encounters.
छतरकला में अभी रात को आपको जैसे पता है कि हमारा एक ऑपरेशन आर्मी सीआरपीएफ पुलिस सभी का एक जॉइंट ऑपरेशन वहाँ पर उस इलाके में चल रहा था। तो उस जॉइंट ऑपरेशन के तहत जब टेररिस्ट एक्सचेंज ऑफ फायर हुआ है तो उसमें उस इलाके को पूरा कॉर्डन में लिया गया। 2 आतंकवादियों को मार गिराया गया है और अभी सर्च ऑपरेशन इलाके में चल रहा है।
Calling Hiranagar Kathua attack as a fresh infiltration bid, Anand Jain, ADGP, Jammu Zone, did point at Pakistan without naming it and referring it to as a hostile neighbor.
ये हमारा एक हॉस्टाइल नेबर है जिसके यहाँ पर जो पीसफुल हमारा सारा एनवायरनमेंट है उसको डैमेज करने के लिए उसकी हमेशा कोशिश ये रहती है। तो लिहाजा ये जो इन्फिल्ट्रेशन है ये अपीयर टू बी फ्रेश इन्फिल्ट्रेशन।
Jammu has been high on the terror radar with these attacks being reported from areas known to be free of terrorism traditionally. 2 days earlier, a bus on its way to the Shiv Khori cave temple came under attack in Riyasi district of Jammu. The terrorists opened fire after the bus driver refused to deboard the passengers but lost control and fell into the gorge, killing 9 people, including a toddler, and injuring as many as 33 passengers. The attack was carried out on the directions of Lashkar-e-Taiba commander Abu Hamza as per the Jammu Kashmir police. The Riyasi terror attack was deeply condemned by the entire country. The President of India, the Prime Minister of India, the Home Minister, the Lieutenant Governor of the Jammu and Kashmir all condemned the attack, stating that the perpetrators of this dastardly attack will not be spared. Sakal Bhatt's report for DD India.
Police security tightened in Jammu and Kashmir after terror attack. Vehicles being checked in the Tatri area of Doda after an encounter started between security forces and terrorists on Wednesday. Jammu and Kashmir police released sketches of 4 terrorists involved in terror-related activities in the valley. A cash reward of Rs 5 lakhs announced for providing information of each terrorist. Based on specific information, huge amount of arms and ammunition recovered in Kupwara. The first session of Parliament after India's general election will be held from June 24 to July 3. During the first 3 days of the session, the newly elected leaders will take their oaths or affirm their membership in the lower house of the Parliament. This will be followed by the election of the Speaker of the House. On June 27, India's President Draupadi Murmu will address a joint sitting of the 2 houses, likely presenting the new government's roadmap for the coming 5 years. The session is scheduled to conclude on Wednesday, the 3rd of July. India Meteorological Department predicted heat wave conditions will continue to prevail in north, northeast and central India on Thursday. According to Met Department, the states which will reel under heat wave are Uttar Pradesh, West Bengal, Bihar, Jharkhand, Uttarakhand, Himachal Pradesh, Punjab, Haryana, Delhi, Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh and Odisha. The heat wave to severe heat wave conditions are likely over Uttar Pradesh till June 16, while West Bengal, Jharkhand and Bihar till June 14. The flood situation in Assam has improved in the past few days as none of the rivers is flowing above the danger mark. Number of flood-affected villages has come down to 25 in 2 districts. 2 districts remain affected, namely Karimganj, Nagaon. NDRF and SDRF teams are carrying out rescue operations and providing relief items to the flood-affected people. On a weather forecast in the northeastern region, Arunachal Pradesh, Assam and Meghalaya, Nagaland and Manipur, Mizoram and Tripura, and sub-Himalayan West Bengal and Sikkim is experiencing fairly widespread to widespread rainfall. All right, let's take a look at other stories making news. As the temperatures rises, the incidence of forest fire increase in the different forest areas in Jammu and Kashmir's Rajouri. Incidents of forest fire in the areas of Forest Division of J&K have been on the rise this summer season as soaring temperatures continues to grip the region. In a road mishap in Jammu and Kashmir's Munji Road, 2 people have lost their lives and 15 injured. Local authorities have launched an inquiry to determine the cause of accident. This accident underscores the critical importance of road safety and need to ensure well-being of all road users. Indian Army of Tamil Nadu paid a heartfelt tribute to a brave martyred warriors on the 25 Kargil Commemoration Day. The ceremony held at solemn venue in Madurai saw the participation of military personnel, veterans and local dignitaries. All 4 gates of Puri Jagannath temple opened for devotees during the Mangal Aarti ritual, Lati ritual, I beg your pardon. The temple authorities have made elaborate arrangements to ensure smooth and orderly conduct of the ritual. Raipur, the vibrant capital of Chhattisgarh, came alive with colors and flavors to celebrate the king of fruits, mango, at the annual Mango Festival. The festival showcased an array of mango varieties with stalls brimming with Alfonso, Kesar and many more, attracting mango enthusiasts from across the region. Still to come on DD India News Hour. Group of 7 leaders to provide Ukraine with $50 billion. NATO defense ministers to discuss the alliance's ongoing support for Ukraine. Former US President Donald Trump's legal team responds to a guilty verdict he was given in New York.
Complex issues, hidden agendas, twists and turns, strategic games. We think all dots are linked. We just need to connect them. Join me every week as I connect the dots to unravel hidden designs in statecraft, mysteries, and decode issues that matter to you. Watch Connecting the Dots with me at these times on DD India.
You're watching DD India News Hour. I am Siddharth Bharadwaj. A quick recap of the headlines. In a tragic incident, over 40 Indians killed in building fire in Kuwait. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi holds review meeting, directs officials to extend all possible assistance. UK Prime Minister Rishi Sunak and Labour opposition leader Keir Starmer spar in TV debate, clash over tax. Meanwhile, Labour Party's manifesto to be unveiled today. US and Ukraine expected to sign long-term security agreement at G7. Allies rush to agree deal on Russian assets. US Federal Reserve keeps key lending rate unchanged, one cut possible in 2024, down from the 3 expected in March. US Secretary of State Antony Blinken vowed on Wednesday to keep pressing to seal a ceasefire deal, saying that not all Hamas demands were acceptable, but voicing hope that gas could be closed. Consulting with key mediator Qatar on the Hamas response to US President Joe Biden's plan, Blinken said Hamas could have given a clear and simple yes, but voiced guarded hope for moving forward.
So, we were waiting on one response, and that was the response from Hamas. And as the Prime Minister said, last night we received a response. Hamas has proposed numerous changes to the proposal that was on the table. We discussed those changes last night with Egyptian colleagues and today with the Prime Minister. Some of the changes are workable, some are not.
Hamas said on Tuesday that it was ready to deal positively with the process, but stressed the need for Israel to agree to a permanent ceasefire and full withdrawal from Gaza. The Israeli government did not comment, but an anonymous official said the Palestinian armed group's response amounted to a rejection. Israel's Prime Minister has not yet publicly endorsed the proposal, which US President Joe Biden said had been offered by the country when he outlined it 12 days ago. But Blinken said Benjamin Netanyahu had reaffirmed his commitment during a meeting in Jerusalem on Monday. The UN Security Council also passed a resolution supporting the proposal that day, adding to the diplomatic pressure that Washington is exerting. Group of 7 leaders on Wednesday agreed to provide Ukraine with $50 billion via the use of frozen Russian assets by the end of 2024. The agreement was signed in France ahead of a G7 summit in Italy on Thursday that will focus on backing Kiev's fight against Russia. G7 leaders had aimed to agree a deal on using the profits from the interest on $325 billion of frozen Russian central bank assets to help Kiev, using the profits as collateral for a loan of up to $50 billion. US President Joe Biden will sign a new security agreement with Ukraine on Thursday to pledge America's long-term support to the country. The US President arrived in Italy on Wednesday for the annual summit of leaders from the Group of 7 major democracies. During his meeting with leaders of the Group of 7 democracies, Biden will sign a new security agreement with Ukraine. White House National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan told reporters that the agreement will include a commitment to working with the US Congress on funding Ukraine going forward. The agreement, however, will not commit to using US forces on the ground. He further added that 15 countries have signed the security agreement, which will strengthen Ukraine's defensive deterrence capability. NATO defense ministers will discuss the alliance's ongoing support for Ukraine in the face of Russia's intensifying invasion at a meeting in Brussels today. The ministers are also expected to get closer to agreeing who will become the alliance's next Secretary General. Alex Cadia reports from Brussels.
Well, the big focus, like it has so often been at NATO defense ministerial meetings, is going to be on Ukraine. There will be a meeting of the Ukraine Defense Contact Group, that is the 31 NATO members plus a handful of other countries interested in supporting Ukraine against Russia's invasion. We know from the US ambassador to NATO that those discussions will focus on Ukraine's immediate and short-term battlefield needs. And the big question is whether or not there will be a change in position from certain NATO allies when it comes to using their weapons to target specific military infrastructure in Russia to help defend parts of Ukraine like Kharkiv, which has been under a lot of pressure recently. So those immediate military needs, and a question is as to whether or not Ukraine should be allowed to hit deeper into Russian territory, all on the agenda for the Ukraine Defense Contact Group and the NATO-Ukraine Council, a formal environment in which Ukrainian officials, Ukrainian ministers can meet with their NATO counterparts to collaborate on those immediate needs, but also on longer term needs like accession discussions. And again, we've had the position from the United States there that there should be a bridge built to help Ukraine get to NATO membership, but that can only happen after the conditions are met and the reforms are seen through by Ukraine. But certainly Ukraine, the focus at this meeting of the NATO defense ministers. Another big question will be whether or not the NATO allies can agree now on the next Secretary General to replace Jens Stoltenberg. Mark Rutte, the outgoing Dutch Prime Minister, is still the favourite, and we understand from NATO officials that a confirmation for the next NATO Secretary General will certainly be reached before July. Alex Kadya in Brussels reporting for DD India.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky met with Saudi Arabia's Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman in Jeddah. Zelensky said that on his Saudi visit, he had held productive and energetic talks with Saudi Crown Prince, focusing on this week's peace summit in Switzerland and improving bilateral ties. Ukraine is bringing together dozens of world leaders and international organizations in Switzerland this weekend to mount pressure on Russia and outline a path towards peace. French President Emmanuel Macron on Wednesday urged rival parties to join his electoral alliance against Marine Le Pen's far-right national rally, while the conservative Republicans ditched their party chief for seeking a far-right pact. Macron, who ruled out quitting if his ruling alliance loses, called on our compatriots and political leaders who do not recognize themselves in the extremist fever to build a new project, a coalition to govern. In a sign of the political chaos that Macron's decision has unleashed, the Republicans' party leadership on Wednesday decided to kick out their party chief. Eric Ciotti, after he appealed for an electoral alliance between his party's candidates and the national rally known as RN. Macron described such an accord as a deal with the devil. It would have ended the decades-long mainstream political consensus to block the far right from power. British opposition Labour leader Keir Starmer will unveil his party's agenda for government on Thursday, putting wealth creation and economic growth at heart of his pitch to voters before July 4 election. With 3 weeks to go before the election, Starmer is the latest leader to launch his party's manifesto, a blueprint for what Labour would do in government, and one he described as setting out a total change in direction. Just 2 days after Prime Minister Rishi Sunak revealed $21.8 billion of tax cuts in his Conservative manifesto. It will also mark a clear break from Labour's long-held image of being a tax and spend party, a message that might further alienate those on the left of the party. British Prime Minister Rishi Sunak and Labour leader Keir Starmer were grilled by voters at a televised event on Wednesday, with both challenged over past decisions, pledges and how they would fund policies if they won a July 4 election. With just 3 weeks until an election, opinion polls suggest Labour will easily win. Sunak was booed and heckled over doctors' strikes, migration and his policy to introduce a national service for young people. Starmer was taken to task for what one audience member said was his avoidance of answering questions and over his previous support of his predecessor, left-wing veteran Jeremy Corbyn. A poll taken after the event in the northern English town of Grimsby said 64% believed Starmer had won the event on UK-based TV channel. Canada's House of Commons has unanimously passed a motion recognizing the Tibetan claim to self-determination. The non-binding motion recognizes Tibetans as a people and a nation with the inherent right to determine their own social, economic, cultural and religious policies. The text of the motion also stated that China is carrying out a policy of systematic cultural assimilation against Tibetans. Former US President Donald Trump's legal team responded on Wednesday to a guilty verdict he was given in New York on 34 counts of falsifying business records. Trump's lawyers argue that the gag order unfairly restricts his ability to defend himself publicly, especially against criticism from political opponents such as President Joe Biden, actor Robert De Niro and others involved in the case. DD India's Caroline Malone reports from Washington.
Donald Trump awaits sentencing after being found guilty of trying to cover up hush money payments to former adult film star Stormy Daniels. His lawyers have said they will appeal. The New York judge in the case must formally approve the verdict and enter a final judgment. He set July 11th for the sentencing hearing. That's a time for the prosecution and defense teams to argue over what punishment Trump should get and for the judge to make a final decision. That will come just days before the Republican Party is likely to officially nominate Trump as their candidate for president, ahead of the GOP convention, where he's due to announce a vice president. Falsifying business records can get someone up to 4 years in prison, but most people, especially first-time offenders like Trump, usually get much less time or just a fine or probation. If he were to be given jail time, though, and then win November's presidential election, he could still serve as the US leader. Caroline Malone in Washington reporting for DD India.
All right, let's take a look at other stories making news around the world. The top lot at Christie's magnificent jewels sold on Tuesday for $13.3 million, exceeding its estimate of $9 million to $12 million. The Eden Rose is a rare 10.2 carat round, brilliant, fancy, intense pink diamond. The producers of the James Bond movies will receive honorary Oscars at a ceremony this November. The award is a testament to his success as producers of the fan-favorite Bond series and their contribution to industry's theatrical landscape. Chinese panda makes a first media appearance after returning from South Korea. South Korean-born giant panda named Fu Bao was presented to Chinese media on Wednesday for the first time since entering the country. Her media appearance followed a 2-month quarantine and health inspection. Tech startup Carelogy and researchers at Nihon University developed CatsMe AI app that helps in the healthcare treatment of a 4-legged furry friends. The app helps monitor diagnosis and treatment of the cat, ensuring that these beloved pets receive the best care possible. Now let's take a look at stories related to International Yoga Day to be celebrated on 21st of June. In 8 days from now, the world will mark 10th International Day of Yoga, celebrating a timeless practice that celebrates oneness and harmony. India's PM Modi shared a video on his X handle that offers guidance of Tadasana asanas and their benefits.
Tadasana. Tad means palm tree. While doing this asana, your body posture becomes tall and strong, like the palm tree. To do this asana, first stand straight with both your feet at a distance of 2 inches from one another. Now, lift your hands till your shoulders. Keep your palms facing each other, and then interlock your fingers together. Now, slowly bend your wrists outwards. Now, taking a deep breath in, slowly lift your arms up above your head, while keeping them in line with the shoulders. Keep your body steady in this position. Now, slowly raise your heels up from the ground and stand on your toes. Without losing your balance or moving your feet, stay in this position for about 10 to 15 seconds. Breathe in and out normally. Stay still in this posture. It might be a little hard to maintain your balance in the beginning. To help achieve this, you can try focusing at a single point in front of your eyes. Doing this asana regularly will help you improve your balance. This asana helps in getting rid of congestion in your spinal nerves. It helps to improve the posture of the body and also strengthens your thighs, knees, and heels. You should refrain from doing this asana if you are suffering from any heart disease, vertigo, or varicose veins. After staying in this position for 10 to 15 seconds, Slowly let your breath out and lower your heels back to the ground. Slowly release the interlock of the fingers, bring the arms down, and come back to the standing position. Practicing this asana regularly brings stability to your body and mind.
As International Yoga Day approaches, special yoga sessions and camps are being organized across Mathura district in northern Indian state of Uttar Pradesh. Yoga gurus gave information about yogasanas and pranayam like Kapal Bhati and Anulom Vilom to the people during the training. In the camp, not only the benefits of yoga were explained, but an appeal was also made to do yoga regularly. Such camps are being organized in many parks. Yoga is being taught to cure diseases. Along with religious and social organizations, political parties also helped promote yoga among all sections of the society. You're watching DD India News Hour. Time now for business news. On to business now. The US Federal Reserve announced its interest rate decision on Wednesday after a two-day Federal Open Market Committee meeting, leaving the benchmark interest rates unchanged at 5.25% to 5.5% for the 7th straight meeting. The Fed decided to hold the federal funds rate after the Consumer Price Index reported that inflation was flat month over month in May, less than the expected 0.1% increase. After raising the policy rate by 5.25 percentage points since March of 2022 in one of the swiftest Fed reactions to rising price pressures, the central bank has now kept the policy rate on hold since July 2023 to anchor in high inflation and bring it down consistently towards the 2% target range. Indian benchmark equity indices Sensex and Nifty hit record highs in early trade on Thursday. The Sensex rose by 450 points, reaching 77,056.63. The Nifty rose by 40.2 points to stand at 23,363. Markets jumped after retail inflation slipped to one-year low in May, along with buying in IT stocks. You're watching DD India News Hour. Time now for sport. India confirms a Super 8 spot, registering a 7-wicket win over United States at Nassau County International Cricket Stadium in New York on Wednesday. Put into bat first, the Americans struggled as Arshdeep dismissed Shayan Jahangir and Andrees in the first over. But Steven Taylor and Nitish Kumar set the stage for a competitive total of 110 for 8. Meanwhile, India also struggled at the start with Saurav sending openers Virat and Rohit back early. But Surya Kumar Yadav and Shivam Dubey steadied the innings and got India over the line with 10 balls to spare. The US, second in Group A with 4 points after suffering their first loss in 3 matches, will also ensure qualification for the next round if they beat Ireland on Friday. And our colleague Tapas Bhattacharya joins us from New York. Tapas, Team India registered victory against USA, but is it enough considering they will now face tougher opposition in Super 8?
Right, so this is a very valid point. In fact, if you take a close look at the way Team India batted, especially chasing a small target of 110 runs, you will realize that they, at one point of time when they lost the wicket of Rishabh Pant, they were struggling. The pitch wasn't great, that's true, but the shot making or the shot selection wasn't that great either, and that's one reason why one wonders whether this team India is currently ready to take on the best of the world. This is the league stages is about to be over. India has only one match in Florida against Canada. They have booked their place in the Super 8. They have they will be now playing in the first match in the Barbados in the Super 8. Who they will face, we have to wait and watch. But so far, what we can tell you is that right now, Team India's performance doesn't get you that kind of a confidence that generally one tend to have with them. For the simple reason, they struggle, they scratch. Though one will, if you see the final scoreline, it's India managed to win the match by 7 wickets, and that too in 19 overs. So people will say that, well, they did the right thing. They checked almost everything. But the point is, your top order struggling. Virat Kohli is not making runs the way he should have. He had a great time in IPL, but here in USA he is struggling. There is that lack of confidence, one might say, in the batting lineup. So if there is a run chase of over 150, one might see a different Team India. But we have to see that coming. After Pakistan's match, everybody thought that that will be a great boost for Team India. But USA, came very close. There were moments if they would have taken those catches, small things that they would have done, things could have been different. So it was close, yet not that close. So Team India managed to win this particular match. Super 8 is going to be a different ball game altogether, and Team India needs to bring their A game forward if they want to harbor any hopes of not just making to the semi-final but also winning this particular T20 tournament in USA and West Indies.
Indeed. Tapas, Virat Kohli again faltered. I mean, do you see a pattern here? He has done well in the just concluded IPL, for that matter.
Right. That's a very bad point. Again, we have to understand the fact that Virat Kohli has scored more than 700 runs in the IPL, just concluded IPL. He was doing well, but he was playing on different surfaces, on what you call dry, flat surfaces where shot making is quite easy. Here, when the ball was doing a bit, we saw him playing wrong shots, and so the shot selection is something that needs to be taken into consideration. For instance, against Pakistan, he chased a wide delivery. Again, against USA, there was a slight movement and he nicked that ball. So maybe the fit, he looks a little scratchy on the surface. So whether somewhere down the line the form is there or not, that remains to be seen. He's a classy player. There is no doubt about the fact that there is an old saying that form is temporary, class is permanent. But it is high time that Virat Kohli gets his act together in a T20 tournament. It's a big tournament for him, and there is added responsibility on him to open the innings. So a lot going on for Team India. They need Virat Kohli's scintillating form back if they harbor any hopes of going past the Super 8 stage. And for Virat Kohli, it's just a matter of getting his act together, is getting his feet movement together. The runs will start coming in. The only glitch is I believe that he hasn't actually done much of net practice. We saw only from the time we have come here, we only saw him twice in net practice. So we believe that it's time for him to come to the nets and iron out the issues that he is currently facing. So we believe that in the days to come, he will come good in the Super 8 stages.
All right, and the Olympic torch traversed through the remote French island of Réunion. Roughly 100 torchbearers carried the flame across the volcanic island with legendary handball player Daniel Narcisse. The Olympic cauldron will be lit at the opening ceremony on July 26 in Paris. Well, that's all for this edition of DD India News Hour, but let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. Scan the QR code on the screen to download now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Siddharth Bharadwaj from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India News Hour.